you are. Hey, welcome back to our daily show. If you guys are watching this, I am out on vacation. Yeah. Want to thank John for letting me take some time off, and we're with some great people down there and having some fun by an ocean somewhere, and probably not worrying too much about life. And I want to thank you guys for tuning in and making this show what it is, and just how it's grown so much to be able to compete against, radio stations in St. Louis on numbers, and really being able to showcase the good in our community. I think it's such an important thing to discuss. So we're going to dive right into the best of 2025, if you will. I'll come back on June the 30th live in the studio. I want to thank you guys so much to have this opportunity to check out some interviews you might have missed, or some ones that you just want to watch again and maybe just forgot about. So we'll dive right into that now. You stay there, and I'll be back in some sort of way with more of our daily show. Welcome back to our daily show. Here's CJ.
It's wanting what you've got. I'm gonna soak up the sun. I'm gonna tell everyone to lighten up. I'm gonna tell them that I've got no one to blame.
Welcome back. Sorry, we're just talking about some really cool stuff that you guys will get to learn about here in a second. We had a busy show today. I'm telling you what, you guys should have been in here about 10:10. We had all 270 backed up, it looked like. Mary Lamy, Brent Wood, how are we doing this morning, guys?
Good morning. Fantastic.
That is fantastic. So last time Mary came on, we talked about a lot of great things going down with Bi-State Development. And then you were at the North Alton Godfrey Business Council meeting at Loading Dock and got to talk a little bit more about the Route 3 corridor. And, for folks at home, Mary, that go, well, we drive the road every day. We're, as the song said, soaking up the sun, driving into work through Route 3. I don't think we realize how really important this corridor is. And Mary, right off the bat, could you fill us in a little bit more?
Yeah, so we're talking about Illinois Route 3 from Alton to Columbia, Illinois. 60 miles. We consider it a heavy industrial corridor. It provides access to the region's 6 Class 1 railroads. It has close proximity to the barge industry, has easy access to our 4 interstates. And when you look at the number of employees per mile for manufacturing logistics, it's really one of the higher numbers in the nation. So it's about 366 workers per mile. And when you compare that to other regions, no one really is within that threshold. So what that really means is you have a high concentration of workers in those categories. So for companies who are looking to grow in manufacturing and logistics, it really is an ideal location.
Wow. I didn't even realize that. When you throw that number out, that's an astronomical number. That's almost a video game number is what people would call those. And Mary, could you introduce us to Brent, too? Because Brent Wood, you're in here. Mary brought a friend this time. And take us through this with your role with the National Freight Rail Network.
Yeah, so I'll start off. I'm sorry.
Let me redo this.
Okay.
I get paid to do this job, guys. The president of the Terminal Railroad Association, I was reading the wrong line. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Anyway, so our role, TRRA, has been around since 1889, one of the oldest companies, used to be the largest employer in St. Louis. But our role is to connect all of the Class 1 railroads in the country. So you have east and west roads, there's 6 of them, and you have north and south. And so our criticality is that we can connect all of those. So many cities have 1 or 2 railroads running through. We can connect to all, so it makes St. Louis positioned in a spectacular way, really. It just needs to be grown and promoted.
And Mary, is this going back to what you were talking about at the luncheon too? Was just all these opportunities that are right there on that corridor and right there in just our coverage area with Bi-State. I mean, this is astronomical. No wonder we're growing so much, right?
Yeah, and I think what makes us unique, we have a geographic advantage about being in the center of the U.S., strategic location on the Mississippi River, ice-free, lock-free to and from the Gulf of Mexico. So what that means is north of our area, there are lock-in dams. They act basically like traffic signals, and they add additional time. So we have a geographic advantage, great location on the Mississippi River. But what makes us a global logistics hub is the fact that we have the interconnectivity with the infrastructure. So we have the rail component that Brent had mentioned. Then you have that interconnectivity with the infrastructure. You have the harbors like at America Central Port with Granite City Harbor, and the fact that it has direct access to the rail. Then we have the interstates, 255, 270. All of that connectivity gives shippers and carriers optionality. So if something happens with gas prices or something happens in the transportation industry and freight needs to go from one mode to the other, if you're coming to the St. Louis area in a matter of minutes, you can redirect it to another mode of transportation.
That is impressive. And now with that being said, Brent, on top of that, the importance of the region's role in all of this when we're talking about the supply chain disruptions from a rail perspective, talk about that importance.
Well, absolutely. I think you can look to last year during the pandemic. All of that freight that was on the West Coast needs to go east, and east needs to go west. We were able to be sort of an overflow for that. So we got more traffic through St. Louis because of that. Chicago's the number one hub, rail hub east to west. St. Louis is number two. We have two bridges, the only two railroad bridges in St. Louis are bookends, one by the MacArthur Bridge by the Busch Stadium facility, and then the Merchants Bridge, which we just rebuilt.
Right.
And we've near doubled the capacity on the Merchants Bridge by rebuilding it in the last 4 or 5 years. So we're poised and ready for more traffic.
That's just incredible. And now with that being said, is that common to have two of the top rail, I guess what you were saying with Chicago and St. Louis, is that common to have it in the same region, or is that just because of the location in the country?
Yeah, I think it's the location.
Okay.
We're sort of the center, east, west, north,
Right.
south. But we are also the overflow. So not that you want a catastrophe, but if there's a snowstorm in Chicago, we're the overflow. We can take that right away. Same way with a hurricane in the Gulf. They can bring the traffic through St. Louis.
And one of those that you don't want to use it unless you need to use it type of situations, but to have that, role of going, hey, if it hits, if something happens, we're going to be here to make sure that the supply chain isn't disrupted and we can keep going, or at least try to, like normal. I mean,
Right.
You can't ask for anything more than that, and it just shows how critical this area is again. Every time I talk to you, Mary, and then Brent now too, I'm finding it so fascinating how many aspects of especially this type of industry that not a lot of us know about, and it's right in front of us,
Yeah, it's amazing, and I guess the other thing I would say about terminals, think of us like UPS or FedEx, only bigger packages, but we are the distribution for the rail.
Gotcha. That is really, I'm telling you what, my mind's blown. And now with that, Ag Coast of America, I think is a great name because it really does fit the mold of what your guys' region is. And now with that being said, take me through this, Mary, the importance of this multimodal infrastructure that you guys have.
Yeah, I think the other important thing we need to focus on is we've talked about the multimodal component and the fact that you have all these modes of transportation in close proximity. We have the infrastructure. We continue to invest in it, like the Merchants Bridge that was recently completed last year, the Interstate 270 Chain of Rocks Bridge that's currently under construction. That's a $459 million project. So that's what's going on here locally. But I think let's go back to the fact that we have the 6 Class 1 railroads operating in this area. Here's what's important. St. Louis, we're basically where the West Coast rail carriers meet the East Coast rail carriers. So we are basically the nexus of the railroads that basically Union Pacific and the BNSF Railroad, they travel from St. Louis to the West Coast, to Port LA, Long Beach. Once they get to St. Louis, they do not go any further east, okay? For the East Coast railroads, the Norfolk Southern and the CSX, they just go back and forth to the East Coast. So that's where we are the nexus. So for companies coming to the St. Louis area, if you come to St. Louis, you have that global access to all of those coastal ports. Because again, in a blink of an eye, if you need to go to the East Coast, you can simply put it on a train. Going back to Brent's analogy, we have scheduled rail service to those coastal ports. So it's just like with Southwestern Airlines, if they have direct flights back and forth to New York, we have direct rail trips back and forth to those coastal ports. And that's obviously, those rates are cheaper than if you're booking a chartered flight.
True.
Your chartered flight is going to be at a higher rate. For St. Louis, we have those scheduled trips going back and forth. So because of that rail component being in close proximity to the most strategic location on the Mississippi River, and then all of the interstates. And again, if you look at our interstates, they will allow you to get to the 4 quadrants of the United States. They're toll-free. We have relatively low congestion for this area.
True.
So we literally are a global logistics hub. Now, with that said, we have branded ourselves as Ag Coast of America. We received international media coverage on that. Nowhere else on the inland waterway system is moving the amount of ag or fertilizer products within a 15-mile section of the river. And that section of the river is literally 7.5 miles north and south of the Gateway Arch. And the reason for that is, again, most strategic location on the Mississippi River, but it's the infrastructure. And it's the fact that you have
hand in
great
hand.
barge rates and rail rates and that interconnectivity those modes have with each other.
This is just incredible. If you guys are just tuning in, you're missing out on a fantastic conversation. We have one last break to take, so let's do that now. We'll be back on in about a minute, 30 seconds with Brent Wood, Mary Lamy. We are talking all about just a phenomenal piece, whether it's bi-state development, whether it's TRRA, all that conversation continuing after a quick one in downtown Alton.
You won't find a better health club than Nautilus Fitness Center. More cardio, more free weights and equipment, more classes, a swimming pool, and more. If you're serious about your health and want to make a change, then stop thinking about it and visit Nautilus Fitness Center on Industrial Drive in Alton. Don't fall for the hype you get from the other health clubs. Nautilus is the Riverbend's premier health club. Has been for years and will be for years to come. Get to Nautilus Fitness Center and get started on a healthier new you.
RiverBender Radio has built 3 great new stations just for you in the Riverbend. The Eagle, the Riverbend's classic rock station. The Bridge, hit music for the Riverbend. And The River, today's country, and all your favorites. Check them out today at RiverBender.com.
Is it time to buy, sell, or even time to consider a short sale of your property? Meet Lisa Webb, owner of 3rd Street Realty. This local, woman-owned, family-operated realty group has over a decade of experience in foreclosures, first-time home buying, and so much more. 3rd Street Realty prides themselves on holding your hand through the entire process. Let their expertise guide you to your dream home. Visit 3rdstrealty.com and start your journey with Lisa Webb today.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello.
Oh, welcome back, 10:53. We got to get to it. We had a busy after 10 o'clock show. Mary Lamy, Brent Wood in the studio as we are again talking about the TRRA and Ag Coast of America bi-state development. And I was so fascinated. Our text line just going nuts over some of these statistics you're throwing out at us. Now, when you guys talk with folks about your roles and about the region's role as a whole, do you get those same reactions like, there's no way?
Yeah, I think we assume, or I always assume, that people knew it.
Right.
You know, and when we started working with the Freightway, I think I had my eyes opened on that, you know, you really do have to sell yourself. And I think Mary's done a great job with the Freightway and selling that around the world.
Without a doubt. And I wanted to ask you, Brent, about the Madison Yard project on the, the priority projects list. And we're talking about, TRA's operations in Illinois Route 3's corridor. Take us through that a little bit.
Yeah, I will. So our classifying yard is in Venice. And it will run about 2,000 cars a day, 1,000 in and out. And this yard expansion, which is about a $70 million project, would add another 1,500 cars of capacity. It could be used for storage. It could be used for more throughput. It'll allay a number of issues. One being the velocity of trains. So Amtrak coming through. Amtrak runs on us. I think you have a station here in Alton,
right up the road.
But we have to keep that fluid. And an example, we had our classifying yard right now has 2,000 to 3,000 foot tracks. There's 60 of them. Trains nowadays are 10,000 feet. And so it takes 3 times as long to yard a train. We had a 14,000 foot train the other day.
Oh, how long did that take you?
Well, it took 3 hours, and it hung from the Illinois side across the Merchants Bridge and down towards the city.
Wow.
It took 3 hours to get through the yard. So this classifying yard's a big deal.
Yeah.
Not just for terminal, but for the region.
Without a doubt. So this is going to help alleviate a lot of those issues, correct?
Yep. Yeah, and in addition, block crossings are always an issue. It will help with the velocity of trains, so they won't be blocking those crossings as long.
And now, with that being said, talking about this project, I got to ask, even though I get myself in trouble when I do this, are there any jobs available upcoming in the area for this type of work?
Well, absolutely. So there'll be construction jobs,
Okay.
like there were with the Merchants Bridge.
Yep.
We had 300 or 400 people on site at one point. But the yard itself, we're always looking for transportation folks, and you don't have to have any experience. They'll teach you what you need to know.
Oh,
but
wow.
Pay rates are outstanding. It's a union operation, anywhere from $85,000 to $150,000. You have to work overtime. The schedule's not always what you want it to be, but it's a good living. It really is.
And now, with that, any educational requirements to get started?
No, high school degree, and you'll be trained to do, hard work, a work
Yes,
ethic.
it is.
It's a work ethic, but there's mechanical jobs, welders, track, labor, locomotive engineers. That's what everybody wants to do. It takes a while to be a locomotive engineer, but you can find something.
Well, I was telling, I think I told you this, Mary, last time with my Uncle Jeff. He's up in Chicago on one of the rail yards and one of the executives up there. But he started the same way. He was on the rail working as a young kid and worked his way up and said one of the best jobs and careers he could have ever asked for. And that could await somebody right here, too, if they were interested. And I think that's always great to highlight, too. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. And I think that goes for anything in the freightway. Everybody's looking for, employees. And
if we had somebody from the barge industry, they would say the same thing that Brent is saying as far as training programs, high school degree. But I think what's really important is there are so many communities up and down the Mississippi River where people are not familiar with these job opportunities.
Right.
They're exciting, they're fun, and obviously they play a significant role in the global supply chain.
Well, you're absolutely right. And on top of that, I keep thinking about all these, kids that go to, the 4-year schools, and I think that's great. We need those, but there's also so much more room and sometimes a lot better paying positions in, a little bit more of a trade or something like this with the rail yard or on the barge or you name it. There's so many opportunities that await so many people here.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just a matter of building that awareness that they know that there are these fun, exciting jobs out there. There are training programs out there, whether it's with Southwestern Community College, Lewis and Clark Community College. They have trade programs. They have 2-year degrees. There's apprenticeship programs through all of these different industries.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Then our office, we actually partner with organizations like Terminal Railroad Association and the barge industry. The Gateway Arch riverboats in front of the Gateway Arch, first Wednesday of each month. We have Ag Coast of America riverboat cruise, and we encourage educators and students to come down. It's narrated where we're focusing on the transportation and the freight industry, and you can see firsthand what those jobs entail.
Now, you know what's funny? I actually had somebody send me an email and said they did the cruise and they thought it was so enlightening and they learned so much and got a lot out of it too. And now, Mary, let's circle back real quick too, because I wanted to ask you about, because we've been driving this home, but just again, the importance of Route 3 with your position with Bi-State Development. How important is that corridor? Let's just say, God forbid something happens and we don't have Route 3 down to Columbia. What's that look like?
From a jobs perspective, it's one of the primary manufacturing logistics corridors that we have. Right now, we have a little bit over 13% of our workforce along Route 3 that consists of manufacturing and logistics. On average, the U.S. is anywhere from like 5% to 8%. So you can see we're double those numbers. Wow. I think the other part is just from a jobs and growth opportunity, it really is one of the best ecosystems. And part of it is for everything we talked about, the infrastructure. You have the rail, the barge, the first mile, last mile for trucks to be able to get in and out. But more importantly, you have that workforce there. It's a very specialized workforce, so it makes it easy for all those companies to work with each other. The other thing is there is a lot of different interactions with those companies. A lot of times a company will be producing a raw material, but another company needs the raw material to manufacture a product, to partially assemble it, kind of like with the steel industry or with the chemical industry or with the soap industry. And so there's a lot of interaction, and all those companies are located around the Route 3 corridor, and they're moving products up and down Route 3. And by doing that and being in close proximity, it really reduces your cost of business, and it makes it very cost effective to be located along that corridor.
Wow. I mean, just wow. And I know that so many are watching this right now or listening, or maybe they're watching live or on demand later, going, I had no idea. I mean, no idea. And it's one of those take it for granted things because you use it so much and you utilize it. And, with that being said, I wanted to ask you very briefly, because I'm going to get yelled at, but we're already over time, but that's okay. I'm just having too much fun here. I wanted to ask about the how you guys, kind of adapt and provide resources for those disruptions, because you hit on this really just in a great way at the North Alton Godfrey Business Council. And Brent, I'd like to hear your kind of input on this as well before we wrap up today as well.
Yeah. So, and I think I talked about the little bit with the pandemic, but we're always ready to help. We have plenty of storage space, and so if there is something where trains need to be stored or inventory needs to be stored, we can take care of that.
Yeah.
But we're spending a lot of our time trying to develop help the Freightway develop this area because we have capacity.
Well, and that's, to me, is nobody realizes all the work that's being done right now. And how long have you been in your position?
So I've been in my position for about 2 years. I've been with the railroad about 6. So
and now, in the 6 years, though, how have you seen it, kind of develop with all these projects? Have you been able to observe that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Our the ports, and I go back many more years before that, but about 5% of the grain came through our port. Now it's around 20, I believe. 25% of the grain going down the Mississippi is originating here. So we've seen that, and we've seen a lot of, when you look back 6 years, terminal itself has grown.
That's just incredible. And then, Mary, if you don't mind me piggybacking to you real quick over this, because I think this is such a fascinating topic.
Here's a really easy way to better understand the fact that we have low congestion. So when a train is traveling through the Chicago area, typically it takes about 3 days for that train to travel through Chicago. For it then to travel from Chicago to LA or Long Beach takes about 3 days. So if that gives you an idea how much congestion. Now, if there's a severe weather event, that's where those trains are typically rerouted to the St. Louis area because we have that available capacity. So you can see the congestion they have in Chicago. And when you have severe weather at any of these locations throughout the U.S., if there's changes in the cost of energy, like in the California area, there were times where it wasn't cost effective to ship ag products to China. And all of a sudden they had all of their product. And normally it would be railed from the state of Washington to Long Beach or L.A. And instead they're like, what are we going to do? And they knew you had that rail corridor to the St. Louis area. They knew that you would be able to easily move it from rail to a barge in the St. Louis area. They knew our rates were very cost effective to ship it to New Orleans. From there, it went on the big ocean carrier vessels and it went to a new customer in Egypt. So that's an example of where we are constantly being used as a reliever to the supply chain. But the other thing is, so we already have the geographic advantage, the infrastructure, but we continue to invest in it. So that is the secret to our success with projects like the Merchants Rail Bridge.
And I'm telling you what, and with the Madison Yard project as well being added on to that, I mean, these are great opportunities that await us. And what do you guys foresee coming down the pipeline? Is even more growth, even more development?
I think yes. I'm not sure about the next 6 to 12 months. I mean, economically, there's been a slowdown. We've seen a little slowdown, but still pretty strong. And we're actually taking this opportunity to expand and get ready for that. And then we've got our other bridge, the MacArthur Bridge, getting ready to embark on a $60 million project. I
was going to ask you about that because you're doubling rail capacity on that, aren't you?
We're and it's, those bridges were, the Merchants was 1882, I think, when it was commissioned. And it's still, it'll last another 200 years the way the work was done. And the MacArthur is, 1912 vintage. So those structures take a lot of work and money to maintain.
Wow. And now with that, we were talking a little bit earlier about the bottlenecks. Does that help alleviate that a little bit more?
Yeah, so on the Merchants Bridge, we had one track available, but the other, it couldn't handle the capacity of the wide, long trains. And it had a speed restriction of 5 miles an hour. So now we can go up to 20 miles an hour, 2 trains crossing at the same time. So that it doubles the capacity, basically.
That's really impressive, actually. That's a great
Now, the
result.
yard project, I mean, you still get a bottleneck.
Right.
It's just, where's the bottleneck? So the yard project will alleviate any future bottlenecks.
I'm telling you what, I know why I have Brent and Mary on, because you guys have made me understand this. I almost texted Patty or sent her an email that said, is there a book that says, the Illinois Route 3 corridor for dummies, so that way I can really feel good about this? But you guys are a wealth of knowledge, and it's one of those where, I mean, we could talk day after day over the accomplishments and the developments. Mary, what do you see coming down the pipeline? Anything?
Yeah, so I think we've got a great track record, number one, from infrastructure investment. But the other thing we're investing a lot of our time and effort is repurposing vacant industrial land. So one of our best successes is America's Central Port in Granite City. That is a former Army base that has been repurposed. They have 2 harbors. It is one of the region's most successful public ports that we have. They have more than 2 million square feet of rail-served warehouses. They've got construction going underway. And so this is a great template where they're attracting manufacturing companies, having great jobs that are high paying. And then you've got, again, this abundance of all the modes of infrastructure all in that location. And then like what Brent had said, in the East St. Louis, Venice area, again, repurposing former industrial land. And that's kind of the template that we're focusing a lot of our attention.
Yeah, when you go from the stand span south to the MacArthur Bridge, there's a lot of vacant land in that area. Very, very prime for more ports and more capacity.
More opportunity.
All rail served, all truck, there's a lot of uses for it, but certainly transportation is the large item.
That is just fantastic. And I mean, so that means there's a lot of things to look forward to as well. I mean, there's room to grow. There's room to add different features. So is that kind of the layout of it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, wow.
I know a terminal has about 250 acres of land in that area that's prime for that service. So,
and then if you visit our website, thefreightway.com, we've got an interactive map that lists all the industrial real estate sites on both sides of the river. Yep. And so it's really a great tool to streamline the process for site selectors and brokers. So depending on what mode that they're interested in, what state they're interested in, what proximity do they want to have with other manufacturing companies, it's all on that. And then we stepped up our game earlier this year where we've released another list of sites specifically for rail accessibility. Wow. And so that's where a number of those sites obviously are on the Illinois side, and we feel that that's just a really great way of making it easier for site selectors, shippers, and carriers to know about some of the great opportunities that you have in this area, and really how you can take advantage of the great barge, truck, and rail rates that we offer.
Yeah, there's a lot of work going on to be, quote, shovel ready. That's what folks who are looking for that one is how quickly can we get started,
right,
and not have to go through all the permitting and all that process. So we're doing a lot of work right now to try to get some of that out of the way.
Man, that's just fantastic. And what's the best way to stay up to date with the Terminal Railroad as well?
Yeah, so we do have a website. It's actually been redesigned. We haven't launched the website.
Okay.
It's a little bit dated, but it's terminalrailroad.com.
But a new one's coming.
And anyone looking for job opportunities can post on there and submit resumes and the like. So
you know what we call that, Mary? A tease. A new website is being developed, but still right now a great time for you guys to check out some employment opportunities. Mary, Brent, thank you guys so much. And I didn't mean to scare you earlier with so many guests in here, but we got through it, and I really learned so much, and our audience, I know they did too. So thank you guys so much for your time. I know you're busy.
Thanks for the invitation.
Appreciate the invitation to be here.
Well, we're out of time. That means my Monday is halfway done. With that being said, I'll see you guys back here on Tuesday. We are talking community Christmas and
Throughout all life stages, you need someone in your corner, guiding you on your health and wellness journey. At OSF Healthcare, that's your primary care provider. Your OSF primary care provider is there for every stage of life. Find a provider today at osfhealthcare.org/primary.
Since 1993, Sparks Junk Removal is always adapting to the needs of our clients. That is why we now offer weekly trash pickup for selected areas. Plus, we offer driveway-safe rubber-tired dumpster rental. Give us a call today at 618-781-1407 or visit us at sparksjunkremoval.net.
When I got in the car accident at the ER, they gave me a prescription of hydrocodone, and over time, it took more medication to mask the pain. I moved over to drug seeking and found heroin and fentanyl. I went to the Centerstone rehab facility, and it was the best decision I ever made in my life. I have my own car, I have a job, there's nothing holding me back anymore.
Attila Fest is coming to Alton Amphitheater on July 26th. Presented by D. Smith Promotions, hosted by Reason to Doubt Podcast. Don't miss your chance to see Big Boogie and Boozy Badass live on stage with special guests Dirty Muggs, Borderline, Marquise Knox, and NKG Band. For VIP and slots, call Queen at 314-967-8999. Attila Fest. Don't miss it.
Listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
Welcome back to our daily show on this beautiful 7th day of September. Another mild day. I think we all needed that after the heat wave. Zelina Vega on the line with the WWE in town on October the 6th. How are we doing this Thursday morning?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh, we're hanging in there. You know, right off the bat, I just got to say, you know, watching your appearance at Backlash, watching that moment was so special. And I just got to ask you right off the bat, how was that moment for you? What were those feelings when you're, you know, walking out throughout that curtain and embracing the thousands that are there to watch?
It's funny, just you saying like waiting by the curtain and my heart just sank again. It's weird how you can, you know, put yourself back there mentally and kind of just feel it for a brief second, but my God, it was so nerve-wracking. But I remember Ray like specifically saying, just relax, like you got this, just breathe, and like everything that he said from the night prior, because we had a tag match prior, which of course 8-year-old me was like, what? You made events of SmackDown and won with your hero and then got matching tattoos with him later. What is life? But then you know, and then the next day obviously having Backlash just happened and everything just went kind of fast. I remember feeling like everything went so fast and then everything froze the second I opened the curtain. It was wild. Like there was nothing I could have imagined it would have felt like. There was nothing to compare it to. It was almost like a dream come true in one match. It was really weird, but like in the best of ways possible, because that was my WrestleMania. I say that like all the time. That was my WrestleMania moment. Like somebody was saying that crowd was almost as cool as watching like Hogan versus Rock, because the crowd was just so insane as far as like how their energy levels was. And I was like, you know what? I remember that match, and I remember saying, wow, the crowd is really amazing, you know? And just to be able to feel a piece of what they might have felt like that day, it's just insane. And I feel like it was almost heavier, you know, because of where it was and what it meant to me and what it meant to the LWO, and obviously having the legends come back. It's just like, my God, it was just a party. It was amazing.
Well, and I that's what I was just so curious about, because to me, there would be no way you can prepare yourself for that magnitude of that moment. And just mentioning, you know, segue into the LWO and mentioning, you know, Rey Mysterio and having, you know, the ability to work with one of your, you know, the individuals you love watching growing up, one of your heroes. Is there any, you know, guidance, any type of feedback that he's given you in the last couple of years that really has just helped take you to this next level?
I mean, so many, but I mean, recently, I remember thinking, I was like, I feel like my 619 is slow, bro. Like I tell him, like, I feel like it's slow. Like, I feel like there's something I'm missing. And he was like, all right, well, so what you got to do is, and he was like, kind of like going into it. And I was like, okay. And then the next day we had a live event and I heard a banging at the door, at the locker room door. And I heard, Delina, come here. And I was like, oh God, what did I do? And I come out and it's Ray and he's like, let's go. And I was like, what are we doing? And he's like, I'm going to show you. And I was like, okay. like, no big deal. It's okay. It's all good. But yeah, it's just, him even just showing me that, I told him, I was like, I don't feel comfortable doing the 619 until you approve it. Like, that's how much respect, not just me, but I feel like anybody has when it comes to Ray. And, you know, he's so like, no, like it's a part of you now. Like, it's something that I'm giving to you. And I'm just like, I swear to God, I feel like I should pinch myself sometimes. It's weird, but yeah, it's just hearing him saying in these moments, like, slow down, breathe, it's okay. Or one of the live events we had, he was ringside for me. And I was right about to hit the 619, and I'm bouncing off the ropes that he's at, and I hear him screaming. He's like, run as fast as you can. Hit that, hit that, hit that. And I was like, oh my God. And I'm pretty sure I smacked Rhea till like next Thursday. But like at that point, like I was going so fast. I was like, okay. It was so funny. But like, yeah, it's just having him in my corner is just the coolest thing that 8-year-old Thea could have ever imagined.
That's just incredible. And I mean, you've had such a great career with the WWE, you know, former tag team champion for the women. You won the Queen's Crown tournament in 2021. And really just, you know, every time I've turned on the screen, and when I was at, it was kind of funny, not to kind of segue this in, but I was sitting there when training for wrestling myself, and I was over in Texas. And one of the things that always drew me was the way that you could control, you know, talk to the crowd and really embrace them, whether or not they loved you or whether or not that you were ready to tell them how you were feeling. What's your connection with that fan base, with your audience, and how special is that?
I think it goes back to just, I hate to say it like this, but I'm a New Yorker. And when we are, especially the smaller ones, I mean, you know, when all you might have is your mouth, you may not have a whole mighty fist, but you have a mighty mouth. And, you know, that's kind of how I had to be for the longest time, is like, to avoid any kind of maybe hits to the face, you got to bruise their ego enough to make them turn away, you know? So it's just, you got to be quick witted. And that was a really big part of who I became, because I mean, God, I was so nervous to get on the mic at any point, which is funny because a lot of people say that now, like, I can't believe you were like afraid. And I'm like, yeah, I was a nervous wreck every time I had to get on the mic, but now I can talk about whatever forever. And it's just because I embraced the real me. And I think that now, especially, I mean, I spoke to Paul Heyman about this because, you know, obviously Paul being one of the big influences that I had going in as a manager, I was like, I just want to be as comfortable and as, you know, have that swag that you have, you know. And he's like, well, you're from New York, be you. And then that kind of just changed everything.
Well, and I was always curious about this too, and not to go too deep into this, but I just always find it fascinating to watch and learn about, you know, how characters come to life, how, you know, Zelina Vega came to life and all the other greats that came before you. And, you know, one thing that I think is so fascinating is being, you know, your role in the WWE and all the traveling you're doing, the millions of people you're encountering. Do you think that, you know, that stepping out moment, that, you know, be you moment helped you in your personal life too at all?
I'd say so. I mean, when you can kind of have, I mean, I heard The Rock say it so many times, if you take Dwayne and you dial him up to 100, that's how you get The Rock. And I think same with me. It's like you take Thea and you dial her up to 100, and that's how you get Zelina. Because, I mean, there were so many times where I'm like, no, I mean, I had to slap Rey Mysterio while I was sitting on the ladder. And as I was freaking out internally, as Thea, Zelina was like, yeah, I just slapped you in the face. Oh no, I'm on the ladder. Like, you know, so it's moments like that where it's like, no, I may not think, oh, I hate Rey Mysterio, but it's just making sure that you can convey as much realness as possible. And I think that a big part of that for me too is as a kid, I thought that you had to, you know, get into acting first, you know, because I knew, you know, at 10 years old, I couldn't get in the ring, but I at least knew that I can start getting into acting and learn how to do that first. Because I always found it so fascinating watching the Rock Cut promos and seeing how funny he was, and, you know, getting to see the drama between Trish and Lita backstage and what's going to happen. Oh my God, Trish just kissed Jeff Hardy. I hate her. You know what I mean? Just like stupid things like that. So I was like, man, I need to learn how to do that first. And I think that also plays a big part, is just learning how to take a character and make it resonate with people.
And absolutely, and not to keep moving forward. I know that we're time's limited, and I so appreciate it. Before I go into the Enterprise SmackDown on October the 6th, I got to ask you, Io Sky and taking on Bailey and some of the best women wrestlers out there. You yourself are in that category. Is there one opponent that you guys just kind of just know whenever we're facing each other, we're pulling out all the stops and we're going to create a barn burner? Is there one for you?
Rhea Ripley.
Really? I like it. Absolutely.
Because that girl, oh my God. Like, the thing is, when we got to do Backlash, it was, and I've heard her do this interview, and it was funny to me because even she knows. She's like, the way she said it was, the fact that she's like, I wanted to smile for her, but I wouldn't do that. She's like, I saw her crying and she doesn't do that. Like, Zelina does not cry. So she's usually an angry little gremlin all the time. So, to see her emotional, it clearly meant a lot to her. And I was like, man, if you even know that, I wonder how the fans think of something, that happened that way, how it happened in Backlash. But for her and I to get in there and just, I can read her like no other person. Like, I can feel her movements, and she doesn't even have to do or say anything. I know what she's doing right away. I can look in her eyes and I know what she's going for. And the only other person that's really happened with was Andrade. I knew from the second that he moved a certain way or looked a certain way, I knew what he was going for, and I knew what I had to be there for. And with her, it's the same thing. I can just, it's the yin and yang, and I feel like she's my perfect opposite. And the more I get to work with Io, the more I'm starting to feel that way about Io, because, I mean, my God, when I was in Stardom in 2016, I wanted to wrestle Io so bad because I remember watching her thinking, man, she's so good. She's so cool. And I never got to do it. When we were in Stardom, I never got to do it. So fast forward, we actually got to have our match during the tribute show to Bray Wyatt, and we both came back from that like, wow, that was really amazing. And obviously the gravity of it with, doing it for Bray, but I also realized in that moment, like, wow, like we work really well together, and I can't wait to do it again.
Absolutely. And that's something I'm looking forward to as well. And as we segue a little bit further and look towards October the 6th, take us through, your ins and outs on SmackDown at the Enterprise Center. What are you looking to do? I know that you guys are busy and have some stuff coming down the pipeline. Is there something that you're looking to fill the public in on before you make your appearance in St. Louis?
I think more than anything is that I try to have little ways for the crowd to get to know me more and more each time. And there's little things that I like to add to, whether it's my in-ring work, whether that's my promo work, whether that's even my outfits. There's certain things that I like to do to get them to know me more and more. And even in this past one, getting to wear, my cyber bunny kind of like, Puerto Rican headphones, it's like she's showing that she's still that gamer girl, but she's also like repping Puerto Rico still. Like, Backlash didn't get away from me. Like, that may have happened in May and it was there, but that lives on for me. Like, that's not something that I took lightly. That's something that I'm carrying with me no matter what. And I think it's cool too, because, as I continue to have that flag on me and wear that so proudly, and so does Damian Priest, I'm getting to see that, it's starting to resonate with some of the girls in NXT, like, I see that, Elektra now is all of a sudden wearing a Puerto Rican flag and showing her, her love for Puerto Rico there, or Roxanne Perez getting to, show the flag in her way. And I think that Backlash was more important than I realized at the time, and inspired so many people that it was such a crazy, I just don't take that very lightly, and it's it's something that I take with such pride, because getting to be that person that people look to is something that I never thought that I would be. But I mean, my God, to hear it is just the coolest thing ever. So when it comes to St. Louis, I always say that, like, if you guys can pick it out, there's going to be something that I'm going to wear that day specifically. If you guys can pick it out, I'd love to. What I do is I drop something, and if they pick it up and they tweet me on Twitter, I always like hit them with a follow, or I'll do something special for them because that person was paying attention, you know? So it's always like a fun little game I get to play with people.
That's incredible. And hey, Zelina, before I let you go, one thing I did want to ask, if it's okay, something I saw this morning was just some kind of, I don't want to say news, but just kind of reports about some conversations, and you mentioned Bray Wyatt in that tribute show, and I want to ask you about his impact on you, because I was looking into this, maybe that, you know, he might have been a pretty big advocate for you. Is that true, or am I reading the wrong dirt sheet?
I laughed at the dirt sheet line. No, it's true. It's very, very true. He has been someone that's always had my back, and it's weird to even say was, you know, it still hasn't really hit me in that kind of way. Like, that was definitely one of the hardest days that I've ever had at work, for sure. It was that tribute show. Especially because earlier in the day, like, you know, you're going through everything, and, you know, but I remember specifically, like, he was the one that, you know, there was a time where I was traveling with everybody like a rosebud and just trying to get a second look. And he knew how much I wanted to be there. He knew how badly I wanted to just be a part of it. And, you know, like, having him there and like cheering me on during a tryout match, like, and then telling, you know, talent relations at the time, she needs to be with us. Like, she deserves to be here with us. And I remember Mark was the guy he was talking to, and he was like, I know, I'm trying, you know, so it's just cool to say that you had someone like Bray looking out for you, because it wasn't just me, you know, like, he looked out for everybody, like all his friends, like anybody that met Bray always felt the impact of Bray Wyatt. And that was, as Wyndham, he cared about people. He cared about his people. And I said this before, but, you know, they say that he really had the whole world in his hands, but the people that he wanted to give that world to the most was his wife and kids. And I couldn't think that was just the most beautiful thing to me.
Absolutely. And Zelina, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you calling in and really filling us in ahead of your appearance in St. Louis at the Enterprise Center. You got a busy month ahead of you. Until then, I hope you keep doing well. And if you ever want to come back on, you are more than welcome to.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It was fun.
No problem. I had a great time. We'll take a quick break, guys. More of our daily show rolls around the corner on the 7th day of September next in downtown Alton.
Oh no, another bad headache? Yeah. Maybe it's time to see your doctor.
OSF Healthcare can handle all of your family's primary care needs, including diagnosing health issues or referring you to a specialist. Schedule an appointment today.
For the biggest selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in the Riverbend, visit AltonToyota.com or stop by their location on the Homer Adams Parkway in Alton. Winner of the prestigious President's Award, Munganast Burkhardt Alton Toyota knows how to treat their customers, and they will help you find the vehicle that is perfect for you. For years, Munganast Toyota has been a fixture in the Riverbend, and now Munganast Burkhardt carries the tradition. New name, but the same great service you've come to expect.
Yo, what up? It's Mike Keith, the proud graduate of Lewis and Clark Community College. I got my start in broadcasting, and now I work all over the country. I discovered my path in media, but I could have been an electrician. Or I could have been a nurse.
Maybe not.
With over 20 years of experience, Wilson's Tree Service has the expertise to handle all of your tree care needs. Licensed and fully insured, their team of experts are dedicated to providing reliable service. Plus, with a 24-hour emergency service line, Wilson's will always be there for you. Don't risk tackling that timber by yourself. Trust the local professionals at Wilson's Tree Service. Visit treeservicealtonil.org to get started today.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
It's not unusual to be sad with anyone, but if I ever find that you've changed at any time.
Welcome back, 1034. A little bit of change on this 14th day of August. It's Our Daily Show on RiverBender.com. CJ Nasello here with you. Oh, you aren't Luis. Well, I have no internet. I can't change it right now. Yeah, hey, by the way, we're kind of without internet down here in the studio. We're roughing it right now, Christine. Right. It's always a story with us.
Always.
You know, I'm telling you what. So if you... I'm telling you this now. So if you guys haven't noticed yet, we do not have Luis Noya, and we have no news right now because for some reason Charters decided to take a little bit of a timeout. But we still have some good company in studio. Christina, how's everything been? The last time we saw each other was what? A couple years ago?
Oh no, I think it's been about 10 years at least.
It feels like it. It feels like it. Well, and that's what's so funny is we were talking, and I had Kendra, and I had Mo, and I had her going, you guys got to get C rations on the show. You got to get Christina on the show. I said, well, absolutely. Give me Christina's number, and we'll get her on the show. It took me about 5 minutes to realize that Christina and I actually knew each other and could have had you on the show a lot sooner.
Right. Yeah,
so right off the bat, as we're getting our internet taken in, back online, how's everything been?
Everything has been great. Like, we've been blessed. That's all I can say. We've been blessed.
Without a doubt. And now take me through this. When did you start the food truck?
So, we bought our food truck in February of 2019.
Right.
You know,
right before COVID hit.
Right before COVID.
I actually remember you talking, because you've always talked. You said the food truck would be coming. That was the one thing, because you were catering so much and you guys were moving food.
I know.
I mean,
That's
moving.
How we met.
Yeah.
That's how we met.
Right.
And we started doing a little bit of curries and courier stuff, but I mean, the food and the intake. I mean, the people want your guys' food.
I'm trying to get it to them, too.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Well, and now, I mean, there was no better time to start this food truck, but then the pandemic hits.
Oh, yeah. That pandemic hit. It felt like somebody took a financial knife and stabbed us in the side. We hemorrhaged money for the whole year of COVID.
Oh, I bet.
And the year after.
The year after that, actually. Yeah.
Well, I bet it was a couple of long years, to say the least.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of did a little bit of business, but wasn't enough to keep us afloat.
Well, it's not like you could even try to.
Yeah, there was so many restrictions and so many that and so many that. You couldn't really do anything. So, yeah, it was a rough year. It was 2 years, actually.
Yeah, our first year, we couldn't even get inspected.
Are you serious?
Oh, it was horrible. Yeah. Because the health department was busy with COVID. To get a food truck brand new inspected was just like
the last thing on their agenda. That makes, and that's just another component that nobody talks about is, you might see C rations out there now and doing some really cool stuff. And we're going to talk about this because I've heard of some of the great community support you guys are doing some really cool stuff. But no one really sees the 2 years of going, this is going to be awful. And you're praying and hoping, that you're getting guided. And that's what I think. It's always good to highlight those things though and know how hard all you guys have worked and making sure this could be successful. And I think it's really, really good to highlight. So with that being said, Deja Hoover and Christina in studio with us today. And with that being said, take us through C Rations. Talk us through the name. How do we develop this concept?
So my husband and I are both 20-year vets. Mm-hmm. He retired back in 2009. I retired in 2014. 14.
Oh, wow.
Like that. Literally, I retired, graduated college, and had a kid all in the same year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, what a good year.
Busy year. Yeah.
A busy year. Good answer.
Yeah. So I went to culinary school during my last 2 years of active duty. Mm-hmm. And then after I got out, Hoover was still working at Social Security. I was still kind of catering, going to school and all this stuff. And, that gets tiring.
Yeah.
It was exhausting.
I'd say so.
And if you remember correctly, before I brought you on, I was like making the food, packing the food, and then delivering the food.
Yes, you were. And it wasn't just going down the road. I mean, that's the
Remember when I had you drive to Jefferson Barracks?
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to. Oh, my God, the drive from hell. I get to Jefferson Barracks right at the end, and that damn sauce spilled. Oh, my God, that was brutal. That was brutal.
I remember.
And that's one thing, and something good to highlight is your guys' connections. They aren't just here, in Alton. I mean, they spread across the region.
Oh,
and you three were hitting locations like Jefferson Barracks and going down to
Springfield.
Just nuts.
I used to have this one lady named Lisa who would drive from Springfield to get. Remember when I used to get the seafood boils?
Yep.
She would drive from Springfield. Yeah.
And they were good. And so why don't we do this? I'm still waiting to get our internet back because you guys are not Luis Noya. We already talked about the Cardinals dumpster fire today.
Oh, wow.
I can't get my internet. Isn't it bad? It is like just watching a train wreck 24/7 with that team. And they're getting mad at me because I keep calling them princess, you get paid $80 million and you can't catch a baseball.
Tell me about
it. The first inning you give it 7, 8 runs the first inning? That's crazy.
Yeah, but you'll still take the $15 million and go to the beach in the off season. You know what I'm saying? So why don't we do this? We're gonna take a quick break. Let's see if I can get my internet back on so I can reset everything. It is 10:40. Our conversation continues next. Hopefully in downtown Alton.
Macias Insurance Agency, providing quality products with extremely competitive prices. As an independent provider, we source multiple companies to offer the best rates possible, covering auto, home, business, and life insurance. Our goal is to provide quality service that meets and exceeds customer expectations. You can rest easy knowing the Macias team is working round the clock to ensure that both you and the most important parts of your life are covered. Our qualified professionals make the insurance process easy so you can live carefree and focus on what matters most. Visit MaciasInsuranceAgency.com today to find out what our team can do for you.
For the biggest selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in the Riverbend, visit AltonToyota.com or stop by their location on the Homer Adams Parkway in Alton. Winner of the prestigious President's Award, Munganast Burkhardt Alton Toyota knows how to treat their customers, and they will help you find the vehicle that is perfect for you. For years, Munganast Toyota has been a fixture in the Riverbend, and now Munganast Burkhardt carries the tradition. New name, but the same great service you've come to expect.
I set the thermostat so my house would be warm when I got home from work, but the kitchen is still cool.
At Barrett Heating and Cooling, we stand behind every Lennox system we sell.
My dealer said he'd take care of everything.
At Barrett Heating and Cooling, we understand everyone wants prompt, professional service.
Turns out it wasn't my furnace after all, just a little something blocking the vent.
Pretty smart dog if you ask me. For service you can count on, call Barrett Heating and Cooling.
Lennox, innovation never felt so good.
Has free checking become a thing of the past? Not if Liberty has anything to say about it. With 3 free personal checking options and even a free business checking account, free is alive and well at Liberty Bank, the local bank that gives you free checking choices and more cashing in your pocket. Bank locally, bank Liberty. For more information, visit www.bankliberty.com.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
Throw your hands up, enjoy it. It's a Monday. What the hell? 10:42, no charter, but we have some great company. And this was really cool. So for you guys that aren't really aware, Christina and our paths, we've crossed paths a couple of times in Hoover's and Dacia's, and we're all kind of looking a little bit older now. Just a little bit, I got some city miles on me. But it's really cool to see how everyone's hard work's paying off because, for a while it seemed like there was only a small group of people in Alton that were really every day were grinding, whether it was starting a business or putting flyers out to help grow. And you guys, all 3 of you were the ones doing it. Putting the work in. And now, hell, we're looking 8 years down the road.
And it's been... it's good to see the fruits of your labor after a while.
Exactly.
And then I have, I started out pushing Deja. She was like 12.
Yeah.
But, the twins came up right behind her. And now all of us, Deja, the twins, we got nephews and stuff like that. And everybody kind of works on there together. And I've been able to keep it a family business. It's been really good.
And that's what I was going to ask too, because Deja, I remember you were just fresh out of playing basketball at high school, and you were getting pushed around by your mom, and then you're pushing the little ones around, going, "Hey, no, we need this in this container, and now let's go get that out the door." How is it to see everyone growing up together?
It's kind of surreal. So now, like Deja and my girls are getting ready to leave for school.
Wow.
One leaves this week. I've been blessed, though. They both go to Principia.
Oh, great.
Daisha's going to play ball, and she's doing graphic design, architectural engineering, and Deshelle is doing,
I'm doing photography and graphic design. She's doing
architectural engineering. She's playing soccer.
That's incredible.
So,
well, and that's what I'm
losing 2 people.
You're losing employees.
Losing 2 employees. Yeah.
Well, and that's what I mean. I mean, this is a true family business, and you can see that through and through. And now I got to ask. Well, we're starting the food truck. You see the food truck, you buy it, pandemic happens. What are the conversations initially? Are we selling this? Are we going to move the truck?
We never talked about selling it. We kind of just worked dirty under the radar for a little while.
You got to.
That's just what it is.
You got to.
And a lot of praying, and
just faith, huh?
That's it. That's where we at.
We did, and every time it was always right on time. Somebody would call for a job right on time. Somebody would need a food truck right on time, and it would just be enough just to
get you through to the
next event.
This year we hit the ground running.
So that's a great segue, and I think that's it puts into perspective a little bit more. I was talking to so many people saying, C Rations was out giving free lunch to kids, and they were doing these things. I mean, talk about being a community staple. That's how you do it. Mm-hmm. When you're giving those children the opportunity to have a meal that day, or just being able to be out and about. Take us through the year. So what kicked it off? What was the moment you guys knew this is the year of C Rations?
So we had always made the commitment. We had always agreed, even in our prayers, Lord, if you let us get this thing going and sustainable, we are going to give back. That was always our thing. We've always done something for kids. He coached with Alton Renegades for 14 years.
Yeah, you did coach him forever. Yeah.
And so, but all of our kids are kind of aged out of that now. But, we know the kids still need
big time
people who actually care. We don't want nothing from you. We just want to love on you a little bit.
Yeah.
And so we started doing the food giveaways. And we didn't know where to start. We kind of went to Housing Authority and we said, hey, this is what we want to do. And they looked at us like we were crazy. Like, you just want to give away food?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to pull up and give away
free?
Food. Yeah.
But, that's what we did.
But isn't that crazy, the place in society we're at now, though, when you call it, hey, I just want to give away food.
Yeah.
Okay, now, seriously, what are you calling for?
What's the trick?
What exactly?
It wasn't no cash. Just want to feed the food, and feed the kids.
Yeah.
And it was great. Some of the people would come up to our truck and they'd say, why are you doing this? And we're like, because we love you. And they were like, really?
But how important is it, in your opinions, to have those conversations with somebody that it seems like, is a little, not, maybe untrusting, but going, why are you here? To say, because we're here for you and we love you. I mean, how important is that, what your guys' interactions have been?
Yeah, I think we just, as a society, got away from that, got away from just being kind to one another.
Yeah.
Just looking out for one another. Like, you ain't got to be blood, but I see you in need, so... That's what we got to get back to, especially as a community here in Alton.
Well, it seems like, and I was talking to somebody about this the other day. It seemed like 20 years ago, just hearing stories, businesses came together. If they knew someone was having a slower weekend, then they kind of shuffled some people out the door, and they did some things to kind of make it work. And it takes community. It takes a village to be successful. And
it does. Exactly. That doesn't happen anymore.
No, that's true. That's for
But these small businesses, the food trucks, the Mo's, the Kendras, the Lovitts, the Big Boy Barbecue, all of those people, whenever they call or whenever I call and say, hey, I need such, can you help me? If they don't, they can find somebody who will. Ray's Soul Searching Tacos, they've been good. Like, he's my neighbor, actually.
But, it's huge to highlight that, though, and at least know that, hey, give me a call and let's see what we can work on together. Let's see what we can get you. Now, I got to ask you, now that we're getting into the bulk of this, and yes, my internet came back on. Dang it, you guys can't work from home. I wanted to ask you the challenges to getting a food truck going, because to me, I would be having this sense of impending doom that I forgot to put the oven off, when I'm driving and I'm going to get blown up on the side of the highway. What were some of those that you guys kind of, experienced early on?
I think the hardest part for anybody doing this business is a commissary. Commissary is like the end-all, be-all of catering or food truck businesses. Without a commissary, you can't do anything.
Anything, really.
Anything.
What now? Can you explain that a little bit more? What is
a commissary is where you store your hot items when they need to be hot, cold when they need to be cold. Basically, you're not running a 5-star restaurant out of your home kitchen.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So you have to find a place where you have, basically a kitchen setup that the health department can understand that you are working your business in a clean environment.
And now, was that a hurdle too, was getting the health department requirements, or does that go pretty smoothly?
The health department was great.
Yeah, once you got started.
Once we got started, it's better to start with them than to be reactive and go get them later, because the process is tedious in and of itself. So, bringing them along so they can give you ideas instead of trying ideas and then telling you no is
best to hit them
key.
First, get in front with them, and
there's not a lot of commissaries out here. There's not. We resolved to using like churches, VFWs, American Legion, but I mean, if their stuff isn't up to code, it doesn't.
Then yours can't.
You can't operate.
That's very fascinating. The laws and the requirements and codes for food trucks are very fascinating, because it's so early on in the county.
Right.
Even though on the east and west coast, it's been there for a while. It seems like it takes a little bit to funnel in.
I think here is more trial and error. We're going trial and error with food trucks in this area right now. Because a lot of people don't really know exactly what the standards should be. Yep. But they're coming along. You got to talk though.
Exactly. Well, and that's the thing, is it seems like, you have to have the conversation, because that way at least find some common ground on how can we get to this point. How can we get to step 2? Now, I got to ask you, as you guys are developing this menu, what's the trial and error? How do we go?
I try everything on them.
All the food goes to the children or to him, and we're just like, okay, let's see what we can make work, and most of it we made it work.
Now, was there ever one though that you're going, yep, okay, yeah, that's nice. Thanks. Any not so good feedback?
Not really. I can't think of one.
That's pretty honest crowd right there too. I think.
Trust and believe. I done tried them all.
Yeah.
2, 3 in the morning, I'm in there. Well, hey, let me taste this real quick. A little spoon up, and that's good. But you can't eat like that at 2 or 3 in the morning. So, but honestly, no, I haven't really came across too many. Not one, really, that I didn't think
CJ,
of.
you know how I do it.
That's what I was asking, because to me, it's like, where do you even start? Like, what's a bad taste test?
I'm not going to lie. You know where I started? I started watching Carnival Eats. That TV show, Carnival Eats, and Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives.
Oh,
Triple
that was
D
a good one.
with Guy Fieri on the food. Yeah, I started there, and I was like, ooh, I could do that.
Now, take us through your menu. So if people see you out and about, are you going to be here? Where are some of the spots you're going to be locally? And then we can kind of take a dive into your menu.
So I'm at the Flock on Wednesdays, normally.
Okay.
And then I do a couple of events at Mr. Nice Guy, right there on Homer Adams and Seminary.
Yep.
And then we started out at Roberts Ford. Let me tell you about them people. Roberts Ford was literally the only place when we first started out that would let us come and park our truck on their lot.
Seriously, the only place.
Yes, it's a car dealership. It's on the corner. We were like, oh, okay. But when we first started coming out with our truck, that's where we went. We were there 2 days a week.
Yeah.
And it started out, we would sit there and we would be 5-10 customers, and then after a while it grew and
20,
grew
30, then lines, and then
How cool is that? Because to me, with the way the younger generations are, my generation, Deja probably our generation, it seems like everyone expects to be the McDonald's day one. They open the restaurant, they want the keys, and they want this and they want that, and they expect it. But, I'm sure you're going, well, we have a parking lot.
That's it.
That's it. But you make it work, and you grow from there, and you work hard, and you develop a following. This is like, I love every bit of this.
And you don't make money right off the bat just because you see money coming in.
Wait, you can't go use that to go out to eat afterwards?
It doesn't work like that. You got,
what's it called? Re-up?
I call it re-up. We got to re-up.
I will never forget it.
Cheese the bread. Wow.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I think is so great to highlight, is that this wasn't an overnight success. This was years in the making of prior experience with culinary arts and catering and making food. And then a year of the pandemic, or 2 years with it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And then the growth to get to this awesome summer you've had. Now, take us through the places you've been. We got about 6 minutes, and I want it all about your success.
So
you've had a lot.
we don't really travel too much.
Yeah.
Because
no need.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
For now.
Yeah, you're right. Why waste gas?
Our goal is to ultimately get a truck, so we don't have to pull.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to upgrade.
Oh, I like that.
We've been to Flock. We go to the Flock often. We do 3 federal buildings over in Missouri.
Wow.
We do 3 warehouses on 255.
Okay.
And those are pretty much sustainable, to be honest with you. We can do 2-3 days a week and have our business done for the week.
That's brilliant.
That's a blessing.
That is a blessing.
That is a
Sit
blessing.
at home with the kids and help them with things they need to help. And been out of town a few times.
Yep. We do. We've done a couple events out of town, but we kind of stay local because people know about us.
Black Taste is coming up.
Oh, yeah.
That's the big one we do each year in
What's
St.
that?
Louis. It's called the Black Taste of St. Louis.
Okay.
We do that each year.
It's kind of like the Taste. It highlights black business owners, black businesses, and stuff like that. We've been doing it since 2018, their first year, and that's the best. But, we were invited to do like 3 events this year. People didn't even know who we were last year.
Yeah, we had to turn down business this year, so that's a blessing, yeah.
Well, how does it feel for you guys knowing that you're at the point where you're getting calls from folks you've never met before that are going, hey, why don't you stop by over here? I mean, that's got to feel amazing after all this work.
It feels amazing, but it's humbling,
Add them to the next year rotation. We write them down and we go, okay, we add them to the next year rotation. So, each time.
Yeah, it's humbling, though, because, people like little old me. People like little old us, my little basketball player over there, and
you're right.
People like little old me.
Yeah. And now, if you're like me, and this is something that I've still had a hard time doing, and I think it's a great time to bring it up. Was it hard to realize people really love us? Was that for you?
It's humbling.
It is. It's scary.
Because when it all boils down to it, I'm not very sociable. I don't go out. I don't talk to people much.
Yeah.
But
Wait, hold on here.
All right. She's always talking to people. Always talking to people.
But what I'm saying is, I don't.
Strangers. Yeah, we are going to talk to strangers. I got
always
you.
Talking to strangers. Always talking to strangers. What are you talking about? We was at Maryville, and we was at Maryville at the little the farmers market at Maryville. She went around just talking to everybody. We trying to run a business.
I'm trying to grow my business.
Networking.
We got to scream across the field. Hey, we need you over here.
Right. Was that one at Furman's Park?
Yes.
Hey, if you went to RiverBender.com /events, it's there every week.
And we're there this Thursday.
Well, and that's great. And it's just, I really think it's cool because you guys are some of the nicest people I've ever had the chance to get to know. And I mean that.
You.
But it's also, the things that I got to see, outside of the business and just knowing you, it's the respect of the faith, the respect that everyone has for each other, and the morals that you instilled in your family, and now it's coming to light in this business and being successful in doing that too.
Yeah, that's a successful business.
Yeah, it is.
You see it grow from that, and you see the kids come up through that, and you see them come through it, go off to college, come back, work the business.
That's a win. That's a win.
That's the dream. Man.
And everybody stayed out of jail.
Hey, we're getting to that point in about a minute and 30 seconds. But with that being said, what are your goals for the next 5 years, next couple of years? Is there anything you guys are looking to do right off the bat?
So we are looking. So first of all, we're going on DoorDash.
Oh yeah, that's interesting.
That is a work in progress. Hopefully,
look for that.
I'm looking like September 1st, maybe we'll be on DoorDash. We want to be on DoorDash by winter.
Wow.
Because you could imagine a food truck in the winter.
Not the best thing.
And we do plan on having maybe a station. We like the idea of the truck.
Yeah.
So it looks like we're gonna probably have a stationary location where you can still come and order from the truck, but we don't have to move if we don't want to.
Gotcha.
Right.
If we don't want to.
Yeah, you just park it. Hey, it's like the RV site. We're hooking up for a few days.
Yep.
I like that.
And we plan on doing. We've had some hiccups in the road, but we do plan on doing another food giveaway for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
It'll probably be after school starts, but it'll probably be in the afternoon when they're coming home from school.
So
they get a meal when they get home.
Yeah, we're probably still going to do that. We have a couple of events coming up at Principia College.
Really cool.
And Deja has been the spearhead for heading that up there. But then,
because so many people have been like, hey. Like, they see my Facebook page, they're like, hey, I want to try your mom's food. And I'm like, I'm trying to get her up here, so trying to get the ball rolling on that.
It all goes hand in hand.
I started feeding the coaches.
That's really where it started. She fed my coach first, and then the baseball coach, and they're like, okay, we got to get her up
Soccer
here.
coach.
Like, we're trying to get her up here. Like, we got to go.
Have you seen the woolly mammoth up there yet?
Yes, I have.
Have you? Because that's the next interview I'm working on. I've been talking to Matthew about having that guy out there. So with that being said, what's the social medias? What's the Facebook so we can reach out, get you at our event, get you on the books, or just go out and try some of your awesome food?
So our first Facebook is Sea Rations Grub Hub.
Did I spell this right?
Yes, you did.
I got you. I just did it on the fly. Our internet came on, and I'm like, just take a guess. Just take a guess.
It's
Good
Sea
guess.
Rations Grub Hub.
Yeah.
And then on Instagram, it's Sea Rations _grub_hub. My tongue don't work like this. Underscore between every word. Hub.
The best thing you can do is just put that right into your Facebook search bar. You'll find Christina and Hoover and Deja's Facebook pages. And thank you guys for stopping by. Nothing but the best.
Good to see you, CJ.
Hell, keep up the success of the business, because I'm sure we'll be talking for years to come on this. I really do.
Keep up what you're doing, man.
Thank you.
Way to go.
We are out of time.
Fest is coming to Alton Amphitheater on July 26th. Presented by D. Smith Promotions, hosted by Reason to Doubt Podcast. Don't miss your chance to see Big Boogie and Boozy Badass live on stage with special guests Dirty Muggs, Borderline, Marquise Knox, and NKG Band. For VIP and slots, call Queen at 314-967-8999. Fest. Don't miss it. Village Dispensary has the best deals in Godfrey, Illinois, with specials 5 days a week. Mondays, roll in the week with 20 to 30% off select pre-rolls. Tasty Tuesdays, enjoy 20 to 30% off select edibles. Waxy Wednesdays, enjoy 20 to 30% off select concentrate and vape brands. Thirsty Thursdays, sip and save with 20 to 30% off all drinks. Flower Friday, grab select 3.5 gram flower deals starting at just $20. Village Dispensary, come meet your best buds. When you need a project done right, on budget, and on time, trust Gillahan Concrete. Gillahan handles every kind of project, big and small. Commercial, industrial, residential, from room additions and garages to patios, driveways, and more. Gillahan brings quality and experience to every job. Family owned with over 30 years of service to our community. Call today at 618-781-3914 or visit GillahanConcrete.com.
Macias Insurance Agency, providing quality products with extremely competitive prices. As an independent provider, we source multiple companies to offer the best rates possible. Covering auto, home, business, and life insurance, our goal is to provide quality service that meets and exceeds customer expectations. You can rest easy knowing the Macias team is working round the clock to ensure that both you and the most important parts of your life are covered. Our qualified professionals make the insurance process easy so you can live carefree and focus on what matters most. Visit MaciasInsuranceAgency.com today to find out what our team can do for you.
With over 20 years of experience, Wilson's Tree Service has the expertise to handle all of your tree care needs. Licensed and fully insured, their team of experts are dedicated to providing reliable service. Plus, with a 24-hour emergency service line, Wilson's will always be there for you. Don't risk tackling that timber by yourself. Trust the local professionals at Wilson's Tree Service. Visit treeservicealtonil.org to get started today.
Looking for the best barbecue in Madison County? Head over to Carver's Barbecue in Godfrey, Illinois. From loaded barbecue nachos to mouth-watering pulled pork, brisket, ribs, and more, Carver's serves up award-winning flavors you'll love. Family-owned, Carver's is all about fresh-made in-house dishes served daily. Come visit us at 2716 Groveland in Godfrey, or give us a call at 618-467-9999. Order online, get it catered, or stop by for the best smoked meats around. Where great flavors meet family tradition, you'll find Carver's Barbecue.
You won't find a better health club than Nautilus Fitness Center. More cardio, more free weights and equipment, more classes, a swimming pool, and more. If you're serious about your health and want to make a change, then stop thinking about it and visit Nautilus Fitness Center on Industrial Drive in Alton. Don't fall for the hype you get from the other health clubs. Nautilus is the Riverbend's premier health club. Has been for years and will be for years to come. Get to Nautilus Fitness Center and get started on a healthier new you.
No matter the season, Play It Again Sports in Edwardsville has the gear the athletes need to get in the game. Whether you're shopping for the newest sports equipment or saving money on quality used gear, Play It Again Sports carries what you need to maximize performance to get the most out of every swing, kick, stroke, or shot. We'll even buy your used goods, paying cash on the spot. We carry all the gear for all the sports all year long. We're your hometown sporting goods store. Play It Again Sports, conveniently located at 4 Club Center Court in Edwardsville.
I set the thermostat so my house would be warm when I got home from work, but the kitchen is still cool.
At Barrett Heating and Cooling, we stand behind every Lennox system we sell.
My dealer said he'd take care of everything.
At Barrett Heating and Cooling, we understand everyone wants prompt, professional service.
Turns out it wasn't my furnace after all, just a little something blocking the vent.
Pretty smart dog if you ask me. For service you can count on, call Barrett Heating and Cooling.
Lennox, innovation never felt so good.
Picture This and More has been a trusted name in the Alton community for more than 30 years, with the last 3 being right here on Broadway. We specialize in quality framing at affordable prices. We also feature works by local artists because we're proud of our community. If you have valued treasures to display and preserve, we're sure to have the perfect fit with our large selection of custom framing and display options. Whatever color, shape, or size, Picture This and More has the look you need. Stop by today and let us help you with your next project.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
We definitely do. Judy, number one, just thank you for letting me be a part of such a fun night. This was awesome. I mean, this has been one of the coolest things to hear people go, oh my God, I haven't seen you in years, and just all the connections that you guys are known for at Cat Daddy's.
It's been awesome. You know, I mean, he's been here almost 38 years. We're on the 3rd generation of families that come into Cat Daddy's, and so it's remarkable to me how many people have showed up just to say, hey, congratulations, you know, way to go, it's good for you, that we haven't seen in years, that used to be here all the time and they moved away. We've had people come in from out of town. It's been amazing. People he's seen that he hasn't seen in ages.
Well, and honestly, Judy, it's just what I thought was so cool about this too. I was telling Mac earlier, when I went to Austin, I was in wrestling school. They go, what makes your hometown so special? And I was talking about just the stories I heard from how you guys run out of fruit and go run to Max and go get some. Or, you know, Max needs something. Okay, come over here and take what you need. Let's help each other out. It's a community within the community itself.
Oh, downtown has always been a walk-around district. Cat Daddy always said, our competition is not each other, it's the couch.
Yeah.
You want them to come out. You come out. You come in. You have a couple of drinks at our place. You want something to eat. Okay, Mac has food. Cajun has food. Morrison's has food. Don Penny's has outstanding food. You know, you can go here for this. You're looking for martinis, you go over here. You're looking for wine, you go over here. There's all kind of places to go do stuff. You go make your rounds, go see what you're going to see, and then come back because we have the best jukebox in town and the ball game's on television. So I will see you in about an hour and a half.
You will. You definitely will. And Cat Daddy, how's this weekend been for you just overall?
It's absolutely been wonderful.
Ladies' room.
To see all the ex-employees, ex-customers. You know, we've been through 3 generations of people. People that met at my bar that are married. It's just been an incredible run. And over the years, I've probably had 500 people work for me that become dentists, doctors, nurses, good family people, great parents. I think a lawyer or 2 in there, but we don't count those. But most of them turned out great. And it's just a great community. I'm happy to be part of it, and I'm not going anywhere. I will be here.
What's community mean to you?
Well, community means not just Alton, but Alton, Godfrey, and you know, Wood River, the surrounding communities, which we all pull together, and you could really see it during the flood, when people have fires, when anything that's tragic happens to families. That's what the community is, to actually everybody pitch in and help.
Absolutely. And you know, through all the years that you've been in downtown Alton, you know, with the Franklin House first, and I've heard some stories, and I talked to former employees from the Franklin House earlier today, you know, there's been flooding, there's been all these things that happen. You know, how do you guys pull together? What's that like whenever, you know, chaos happens and all the true character really starts to show? And that's a question of both of you.
Well, we were a lot younger then. And the sandbags were a lot lighter then. But the whole surrounding area, I had people from Chicago, people from Florida, people from everywhere. College friends that called me up that what can I do to help? You know, your fingers reach out to a lot of people that you don't realize, and I'm so grateful for that.
I think that, back to your question about what does community mean, we help each other, we take care of each other, and when, you know, the flood comes, for example, that threatens everybody. We take care of each other. And if you need something, I got you. If I need something, I know I can call you. It's always been that way. And that's what makes downtown special. It is a community. It is a family. We take care of each other.
Well, and you know, on top of that too, Cat Daddy, did you think when you started, when you moved into Cat Daddy's in 1986, did you think that you would have this network, this family that really just kind of branched upon itself 40 years later?
I don't think anybody could have predicted that. It has just been way over my expectations and all been great. And I've been blessed and so lucky. And the people that are going to buy it, they're going to keep the name, and they're going to continue it the same way, and they're going to improve it, because you know, new blood always helps. So, and I will be around to support them, and I hope everybody else is too.
And they're going to continue to support the Boys and Girls Club. They're going to continue to do all of the things that we have done. It makes it easier, because they want it to be what it is.
Well, and I want to come back to that here as we wrap up the interview, but if it's okay, I got to ask just the origin story. Cat Daddy, if you could, I know that the hat's been making its rounds with the Tootsie Roll. Take me through, how did you get involved into the bar industry years ago? And then a follow-up question for you, Judy, is when did you come partner in or come into play as the bar was going?
Well, when I graduated from college, I came back and I didn't really want a real job right away. I wanted to play a little bit like a lot of college people do. So I went back to work at the flour mill. And Fast Eddie owned the bar across the street. And he decided to sell one day. And on my lunch break, I said, I'll buy it. Not knowing anything about the bar business, except I found out real quick the biggest 2 feet in the world is from one side of the bar to the other. And with help from Fast Eddie, made a go of it over there, and with my friends and people.
It was before he was Fast Eddie. He was just Eddie.
He was just Eddie.
Yeah, he was just Eddie, and then in '81 he bought the Bon Air and became Fast Eddie.
And so you took over Cat Daddy's in 1986, correct?
89.
89?
Took over, bought the Riverwalk.
I took over the Franklin House in '79, and then bought the lower deck.
Okay.
In '86.
Okay, and so we always heard, everyone always wants to know the Cat Daddy's nickname. For all the rumors that are out there, how the Cat Daddy's name came. What's the origin story of how you got to be known as Cat Daddy?
Well, I was blessed, and I got to go to Marquette High School, and we had a janitor up there. We called him Cat Daddy Stewart. And he was one of the cool janitors, although I never smoked, but he let them go down the boiler room and have a cigarette back then. And I just thought it was a cool name. And when I bought the bar, it was called the Lower Deck, and I wanted people to know that it had changed hands. And so I just came up with the name Cat Daddy's. And at the time, my brother worked selling shingles for Owens Corning. So I had the Pink Panthers and all that. So that kind of became the theme. And then I got a letter from Owens Corning about infringement rights. So I learned business real quick in those days.
That's really cool. And Judy, when did you become part of Cat Daddy's?
Well, I've been here 26 of the 37. And when I found out he had season tickets, I decided maybe he could stay for a little while.
That's so cool. And Dan, I know you wanted to jump in, and if you have any questions, man, while I have you, hey, what are your questions for Cat?
I don't have any questions other than Cat and Judy, thank you for letting me be a part of the Cat Daddy's family. You guys mean a whole world to me.
I will say this, one of the best things about Cat Daddy's, first of all, when the very first time I ever came in this bar, I knew it was a place I could come by myself, single woman in my suit after work. Nobody was going to bother me, nobody was going to mess with me. It was a comfortable place. It's a great little joint. I could come in and watch the ball game, have a drink, and not be hassled as, a single woman. And then, we met and that changed. But the best part about Cat Daddy's is it is family. We've got you guys. There's the dental students. There's the people that were here when Cat Daddy started this place. that we're on the third generation of now. They brought their kids. Now they're bringing their kids. We've got the people from out of town that you can't believe the people that showed up yesterday and today just to be here for this. It's because it's family. It's everybody cares. We were going to be so busy because we're little. I borrowed 2 bartenders from Pete's. They said, absolutely, you need to help. It's okay. I wouldn't have stolen people without permission. They said, absolutely, whoever you need, take what you need. Make it work. And that's that amazes me about the bar business in Alton. I came from Columbia, Missouri, where everybody was competitive and no, you can't talk to them, you can't do this. The bar owners in Alton and Godfrey are so cooperative and so supportive of each other. It's whatever you need. Whatever you need to do, we got your back, we got this. Cat Daddy has the baseball party. Mac has the derby. Regal Beagle has Mardi Gras. Morrison's has St. Patrick's Day. I mean, everybody gets a turn. Everybody gets, and we all help each other.
Well, and as we're kind of wrapping things up today, and because I know so many more people have to say hi to you, you want us to get back to it. I just want to say seriously, thank you for letting us be a part of this. It's been a pleasure. Thank you to all of our supporters today that kind of threw, we had some bars reach out and they put their logo that said happy retirement from, Max, from Ropers, all these places that
that's awesome.
Their congratulations. So thank you to those. But before I sign off, what's your final takeaway? What's your message to the audience, the Riverbend, the Alton community, greater Alton community about everything?
Just keep doing it and make it better, stick together, and Alton's can only get better, and it does every day. So as long as we stick together, we got this thing like.
Well, I don't claim to speak for anybody, but I think I can say on behalf of Alton and the Riverbend, thank you, Kat.
Judy, any final thoughts?
No, it's been a great ride. We have met so many great people, made so many friends, not to mention the people that just come back. When they're in town, they got to come see Cat Daddy. We've got people that live out of town, but we had a great time, so we have to go back to Cat Daddy's. Carlinville, Jacksonville, Springfield, St. Charles, it doesn't matter. They do a once-a-year trip. They got to come to Cat Daddy's.
Well, I can give a little piece of that. One of our River Dragons, Alex Redmond, when he came back and couldn't pitch last year, he said, I'll come back to Alton only if I can go to Cat Daddy's.
We got people from out of town. It's so heartwarming and so rewarding to all the people that have been here this week that it was important. They wanted to come see Cat Daddy. They wanted to come be part of this. They wanted to, come back, and it's just because of the kind of place it is. We're a joint. We're not fancy. We're not martini. We're not yuppie. We're just a joint. I always say we're too clean to be a dive because our bathrooms are good. So we're not a dive, but we're, but it is a comfortable place, and the people like being here. And the fact that they keep coming back year after year after year is incredibly rewarding.
And before we sign off, one last thing is the new owners, Ryan and Angel and Miles, they put a congratulatory message on the screen too, and I forgot to thank them. But Kat, Judy, thank you so much for your time. We're out of here, not yet, because I will see you live for more of our daily show on Monday, but on Wednesday, for everybody that was here and kind of is going to forget about this tomorrow, we're airing this live on RiverBender and on Roku TV at 3 p.m. Wednesday. We'll see you then. On that note, have a safe weekend. Try your best to stay out of jail.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
That'll do it for this best of this day. We'll have a couple of more for you until June the 30th. Until I see you back live in the studio, just try your best to stay out of jail.